As you may have guessed by now, I kind of like Eddsworld. That's right, I've been running this channel for over 3 years now, and I've sort of built myself a bit of a following from making videos about this show. Yet rarely have I expressed my actual opinions about individual episodes. That is going to change today, as I'm going to be counting down my top 5 favourite Eddsworld episodes. Now the rules. If it was uploaded to the Eddsworld YouTube channel with the title beginning with the word Eddsworld, then it is eligible for this list. So that means that something like Tom's Tales would be eligible, while something like Random Bits would not. And if you're not happy with that criteria, then just know that every episode I'm about to talk about also follows a coherent narrative, so all of my favourites are traditional episodes anyway. Also keep in mind that my list is going to be very different from yours. There are so many great episodes and I couldn't include all of them, so don't be surprised if your favourite doesn't make the list. There'll be a pinned comment down below, and I'd really be interested to hear your list. With that said, here are the top 5 best Eddsworld episodes, in my opinion. Spez. I've gone on record before saying that this is my favourite episode, and whilst that obviously isn't the case now, there is still a lot to love. After Ed, Matt, Tom and Tord are the only people on the planet to watch a new monster movie, the director decides to take the next logical step and clone all of them to get them all to see it. But when the film ends, the clones break loose and spread havoc on the city, leading to an epic climax when the gang take on their clones in an all-out battle for the house. If you ask me, this is the episode where the show started becoming really great. Sure, it doesn't hold up quite as well as some of the other episodes, and it is a little bit slower paced at times, but it still manages to deliver the laughs. And by far the best part is the evil director, my favourite character in the whole series. That's Bing voicing the character, and he is clearly having so much fun doing it. Everything this guy says puts a smile on my face. And that ending. Just the idea of a few friends with guns fighting off 4 million unarmed clones of themselves, that's just genius, and it just screams awesome to me. So whilst I do think that there are better episodes, this is still definitely one to check out. Trickle Threat. Hands down, the best short to come out of the series. The whole thing is only 1 minute and 25 seconds long, but they still managed to tell a coherent story entirely through song and animation. And that song, my god, it's brilliant. I just love how it starts softly, getting increasingly intense as the actions on screen unfold, and the flow is just spot on as well. Todd Bryanton does a fantastic job with the vocals, never missing a beat. And I have to mention that animation. I love Brandon Turner's cute and expressionate art style, with a fast pace that complements the flow of the song perfectly. There are some great music videos out there, but it's really hard to beat this one. Fantastic Halloween episode. Santa Claus Part 3. It was almost impossible to choose which Santa Claus episode to put here. They're all so funny and so bizarre, and so brilliant, and some of the best episodes the series has ever produced. They could easily take up half the list, but I decided to go with the third one in the end. But this spot is really reserved for all of those episodes. Santa Claus has come back once again, and this time he wants to partner up with Tom to destroy Christmas. Tom has some ideas of his own, however, and steals Santa's sleigh to destroy Christmas on his own. So now it's up to Ed, Matt, Santa and Father Christmas to stop Tom and save the day. Once again, the jokes here are top notch. They're bizarre and over the top and well paced and just simply brilliant. Also, Tom makes a pretty great villain here. He fits the role so perfectly, and I'm surprised that the show hasn't done more stuff like this in the past. But where this episode shines is the song. How could I not mention this song? By far the best musical sequence this show has ever produced. The actual music is amazing and even better than that in Trickle Threat if you ask me. I get chills whenever that guitar solo kicks in. Also, the evil director makes a cameo. How could this episode get any better? If you want a good Christmas episode to watch every year, you could do a whole lot worse than this one. The end. Both parts, since they tell the same coherent narrative. I could not imagine a better finale for this show. It perfectly encapsulates all the themes, all the story arcs, and all the ideas that have followed the show since the beginning. After they come home from a fishing trip, the boys find that Tord is moving back in after years and years apart. Tom isn't happy with this and leaves to find a new home. Things get messy, however, as it's revealed that Tord is actually a wanted supervillain who is intent on world domination. When this episode was first released on YouTube, I swear Tord wasn't in the thumbnail, so when I saw his red hoodie appear from the shadows, my jaw dropped. I honestly still can't believe they did something so awesome, bringing back a character people had wanted to see again for years, and turning it into a massive 2-part episode, and making him this all-powerful baddie was absolute genius. He just makes such a cool villain, and it's even better knowing that he was in all those old episodes. In fact, the whole thing is better if you're a die-hard fan. They go back to a bunch of familiar settings and cram the whole thing with references which you can only notice upon further viewings. And as you might have guessed, I'm very much a fan of this sort of thing. Also, the animation in this one is spectacular. Paul is great in part 1 as ever, and I have no idea who animated part 2, but they did a fantastic job with the designs and the movements, and how many times am I going to reuse this shot? It's just so well done. If I had to describe this episode in one word, it would be epic. The end is a truly epic episode. Before I unveil my top spot, I just wanted to go over a few episodes which just missed out on the top 5. Climate Change. By far the most underrated episode out there. It's only 4 minutes long, but it still manages to pack in some fantastic jokes, and especially some great Tom moments. Even if it's not exactly how the greenhouse effect works, it makes the whole thing even funnier somehow. Consider this my number 6. Lunatics. This episode gets a bad rap sometimes, just because of the animation. To be honest, I've never really had a problem with it. Sure, the frame rate is a little bit choppy at times, and the style is very different, but once you get used to it, you really begin to appreciate the hard work that clearly went into it. And somehow that messy anime style just works with the Western setting. Even if you ignore the animation, the episode is still really memorable and funny. And it's nice seeing the characters in this Western setting, though it wasn't quite good enough to make the list. Hammer and Fail Part 2. The Hammer and Fail episodes seem to be a lot of people's favourites, and I do think that both of them are pretty good, but Part 2 is by far the better one. There are lots of great jokes here, but I just still fell short of the top 5. And with that, let's move on to my all-time favourite episode. Moviemakers. I know, a lot of you might be a little bit confused by this one. Moviemakers might not be the funniest episode, it might not have the best story or the best animation, and the premise isn't even really that creative. But I think that this is my favourite episode because it just does everything right. Tom buys a video camera in the hopes of filming a viral video and becoming famous on YouTube. But when the entire internet breaks, they have no choice but to make a full-on movie. So they get everything together they need to make a theatrical film for their shot at the big screen. Honestly, I cannot find a single flaw with this one. There are just some truly great and hilarious moments here. The internet CEO, the vending machine, the shoe, the space cats. It actually had me laughing out loud on several occasions. The animation here is also spot on. That rotating shot has to be one of my favourites in the series, up there with the running scene from the end. It's probably the most creative and funniest montage scene in the entire show. It's hard to explain why I loved this episode so much, just find it so enjoyable to watch. When I think Eddsworld, this is what I think. It's so charming, so brilliant, so funny, so entertaining. It really is quintessential Eddsworld.